This
Council,
conference will now be recorded.
Okay, thank you. Would everybody please join me in the pledge and the invocation?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Dear Lord, we come before you tonight and we thank you for all the many blessings that thou hast bestowed on us. We pray, Lord, for all the sadness that's across the world and in this country with all the shootings and killings and everything, which is all unnecessary. Please, Lord, guide our state senators and our congressmen and the President of the United States to get a hold on this and try to come up with some kind of gun laws or something to give the police more authority to do a better job, to take care of the unrest that we have throughout the world. Lord, as we go into our meeting tonight, please guide us in a godly manner, that we make the right decision, best for the town and for our residents. We ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, looks like all the council's here. Holly's missing, but it looks like Brian's sitting in for. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
We'll start with the review and approval of meeting minutes, draft minutes. Regular meeting, March 13th, 2023, special meeting on March 21st, 2023, and special meeting on April 4th, 2023. Council, have you all had a chance to review these? And if so, do I have a motion to accept?
Just to let you know, I did find missing notes that Terry took.
And the missing links.
And I gave them to Kim so she can fill in some of the blanks from the closed session. So we're good there.
So should we wait to approve those until we get?
We'll just hold off on that. That was the
special
March
meeting?
21st.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We'll hold off on March 21st approval of meetings, minutes for until next month's mayor and council minutes. Okay, Kim?
Yes.
So do we have a motion to accept the March 13th and the special meeting on April the 4th?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Anybody have any questions or discussions or anything, changes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstain, motion carries. Treasurer's report.
Okay. End of March, we have a balance in our general fund of $2,117,123.44. In our water fund, the balance at the end of March is $558,255.61. And the sewer fund has a balance of $90,304.32. The town CDs, our current balance we have at the moment is $2,206,506.86. Other accounts, our restricted funds, the money market with Middletown Valley Bank. Of course, we're holding money there for the reservoir projects. We've got several million in hold there, some other special restricted funds, but that balance currently is $2,748,104.54. The American Rescue Plan Acts funds that we're holding, $3,164,701.93. The water department has a user fee money market at Middletown Valley Bank with a balance of $174,950.65. And the sewer fund has a money market being held at Middletown Valley Bank with a balance of $85,168.34. We believe that should be everything that we currently have.
Okay, thank you, sir. Do I have a motion to accept treasurer's report?
I'll make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Abstain? Motion carries. Anything else?
Yeah, just a reminder, we have to true up our
Yeah, I got it.
restricted funds for that, okay,
Yeah.
just a reminder.
Yeah, we'll work on it later soon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How is the budget coming along?
Well, we had one meeting so far and now we're gonna have another, so we're getting there.
Think it's possible to have it ready that we can look at it at the workshop? Or May's mayor and
Nays,
council?
mayor and council, I would probably feel more comfortable.
Okay, good.
A rough draft.
Okay, good. Anybody have any questions of Tony? Okay, moving on. We have a guest tonight, Chad Walker. Chad, come on up front. Welcome.
I have to come up front.
Sure, we won't bite.
This is my second year presenting to the mayor and council. This is my 8th year with the,
Sit down.
I'm fine standing.
Okay.
This is my 8th year with the National Pike Festival and James Shaw Wagon Train. Last year was the first year, this is our second year. First thing I would like to bring to the mayor and council's attention, we would like to ask for permission to use Schaefer Park as the ending spot, understanding that we need to stay off of the baseball diamond like in previous years.
Okay.
Date,
It's
It's gonna
on,
be May 21st.
it's a Sunday, right?
Yes, sir.
yes, week before the carnival. Do I have a motion to give them permission? Has the park board reviewed this?
Yes, they're okay with it.
Okay, good.
And the calendar creation.
Yes.
I'll make the motion to reserve the park for the National Pike Festival and the Wagon Train Foundation for Sunday, May 21st.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any questions, discussions, or anything? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Abstain, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome.
The second thing that we would like to ask, in previous years, it didn't happen last year. I think it fell through the cracks, mainly on my part. But in previous years, we've had the town of Boonesborough chief, the officers for the actual town have met at the AC&T light there to assist the 2 deputy sheriffs that travel with us. Last year was the first year that it fell through the cracks, mainly on my part, as I was undergoing some treatment through Johns Hopkins. I slipped my mind. We had too many cars in between the horseback riders and the wagons, even with the 2 deputy sheriffs at the front and the back. The town of Boonesborough, they usually had one on each side of the light, and they followed and kind of stagged in between to keep traffic out. But there was multiple times last year that I had to get off and direct the cars out for the safety of the participants and, even the cars. So I'm asking the assistance of the town of Boonesborough from the chief of police to potentially have 2 officers meet us there. Approximately, it'll be about 12 o'clock on that Sunday.
You
It's Sunday, May 21st.
You good?
We'll do it. Yeah, we can do it. We'll make it work.
Good. There you go.
Thank you very much. Do you need anything else from me for that, chief?
No, we're not closing down the road, so we don't have to get MSP involved, so we're good.
Okay, and I also have Maryland State Police involved. I have a state highways administration special events permit that I have to go through. So all the agencies, the sheriff's department, city police auxiliary, you guys, state police, everybody's involved with my.
Yeah, I don't remember you asking for help last year. I thought the county.
No, it just, like I said, it slipped through the cracks.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have at least 2 there for you.
Thank you very much. And then the last thing, mayor and council, that I am asking behold of the town of Boonesborough is to help us offset costs. We give away two $250 scholarships to a Washington County agriculture student. This is something that our original founder, James Shaw, wanted, and we moved forward with it 3 years ago, and we have only had 1 applicant. This year, we are asking the towns for $500 from the hotel motel, if available. If not, we will accept any offerings that the towns are willing to make towards, to help offset the cost of the scholarship. Last year, you guys gave $250 towards our rental van that got our participants from the beginning to the end, logistically prior to the event. That was $250 last year, but as we all know, prices have rose. That is now $700 this year for 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Our budget this year is gonna be $9,438.58 to keep this tradition going. I have reached out to the Corporation of Hagerstown and Funkstown, they both have given $500. I have the town of Clear Spring tomorrow, and I have also reached out to various businesses within the community to ask for sponsorship and backing along the way. Is this something that you could potentially do or discuss another offering to help offset the cost of this National Fight Festival to keep the tradition going?
Council?
I was trying to look at,
So there's $500 left in the donation line for budget.
but I mean, but when don't we have a line for the wagon train?
We do.
Is that separate from what he's asking for? Does that cover other costs, or that's what my question was, I guess?
So the wagon train that we budget for is for like the pony rides that they do. I think there might be one other thing that they give money towards, but I'm not 100% sure.
Water for the horses.
Hmm.
I didn't know if we
Down there with that.
spent on it, because you've already like written $225,000.
Yeah, so that's a 50% deposit. So it would be what,
450,
450.
so.
Other towns that you all stop in, do you ask them for money too?
Yes, so I went to the Corporation of Hagerstown last week. I presented them for 500. They gave us 500, and we added an additional stop to Hagerstown. We're stopping in the city park like we always do, and stopping in front of the Maryland Theater. This Convention and Visitors Bureau this year is having a professional photographer that they are paying for to follow us, to help us get photos. The town of Funkstown, I presented them for 500. They gave us 500 out of their hotel motel. And then, like I said, the town of Clear Springs tomorrow, I'm presenting 500 to them as well. They actually have more to the offering because they get both Friday night and Saturday night, whereas you guys only get one day, but I'm presenting it across the board for 500 from all the towns. But any offerings are appreciated from any of the towns.
Well, as of the end of March, we have budgeted to receive $25,000 in hotel motel tax monies revenues, and we've gotten 23.8. So I would say we're on target to hit our 25 and then some. So I'm comfortable with giving him 500 out of that.
That's what I just made a note for next year's budget too. So
Is that a motion?
I'll make a
Mayor?
motion, we get 500.
And I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to donate them $500 our hotel motel tax that we received. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion, questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries, sir.
Thank you very much, Mayor, and the town of Winsboro and council. Really appreciate your time tonight.
Hopefully the weather cooperates.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you for what you do, Chad.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Ray, you think the sheet too?
Mayor, can we do
Sure.
first?
Up and introduce yourself. No, wait, not yet.
Not yet.
We have another guest.
I'll take some of the list anyway.
Yeah.
If I may,
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Mayor Long and Council, I am Cesar Gonzalez. I am new in this area, and I am simply here to introduce myself and hopefully build up a relationship with you and other towns. I am a pastor in the area, but the reason that I'm here is that I am in charge of the western area of the Chesapeake Conference Adventist Community Services Department. And so I am going around to all the towns, and I'm trying to get an understanding of what the towns need so that we can start planning to serve those needs. Sadly, we don't have a church in Boonesboro, but we have several churches in the area and many churches in the county. I myself am the pastor of the Middletown Church down the street. And like I said, we would like, and sadly, my predecessor, I don't think ever came here, but it is my job to come here and talk to you, and you don't have to come up with anything right now, but I want to introduce
Here,
myself.
we got a list.
I hope that you do. And so you know what it is that we do. We have expertise in youth programs. We have expertise in community service programs. We have done health programs for communities. Any community that is underserved somewhere in Maryland and Delaware and parts of West Virginia, we have done programs of those sorts. And so I'm here to offer my services, to talk to you about what it is that you need, and hopefully grow a relationship with this town and this council so that we can serve you better.
And Kim's got your contact.
Yes.
information.
And it's on that sheet as well. So whatever you may need, and I'd be happy to come back and speak to you in this manner or whatever other way you prefer.
Sure. Pastor, do you have anything in the way of addiction counseling or intervention or anything like that?
Addiction counseling is something that we have done. I don't know, I'm brand new in this area. And I don't know what capacities we have here yet. But if that is something that you need, then that is something that we will work on. Any other questions?
Any of your congregation live here in Boonesboro?
Oh, yeah, we have, it's actually several pastors that live here in Boonesboro. And despite the fact that they serve in other counties, Boonesboro is very amenable, I have heard. And so, yes, we have several pastors and several people in my congregation live here.
The town's always looking for volunteers to serve on advisory commissions and on the council itself. And if you wanted to encourage your congregation to volunteer, that would be very helpful.
That's fantastic. What kind of advisories are we talking?
There are several different advisories. There's a utilities commission, a planning commission, an environmental commission, a public safety commission, park board,
Economic development?
There's a lot, there's a lot of commissions.
All of them are very active and some of them need people.
You can actually go to our website and see all the different commissions that we have in town. And vacancies are on that too, aren't they? So you can see what vacancies are open to.
Good, good.
People with interest, if they might see something that catches their fancy and want to.
Thank you. I'll make sure to mention that to my people. I also want to mention that we have several schools in the area, and those students will be looking for projects to do as well. So even, labor of any sort, we can put together service days and things like that for things that the town might need.
We do have a park cleanup coming up at the end of the month.
Yes, we can certainly help with those sorts of things.
That's the last Sunday in April, isn't it?
Yes,
No, it's not. It's on
No.
the 23rd.
the 23rd.
At 1 o'clock in the park.
What happened to the pen this year?
Someone stole the pen.
Thank you, sir.
They got it 23rd.
That's a Sunday?
Yes, park cleanup. Some wear old clothes and boots if they want to. We keep the younger ones out of the stream. We won't let them go in the stream to clean up because they have too much fun.
So Pastor, my church, Trinity Lutheran, right now on Main Street,
Yeah.
is doing a summer Bible program.
Like a day camp?
Yes.
Mhm.
Actually, we're gonna do it for a week. We're trying to do it for a week this year. Would any of the children that live in this area that's in your congregation be willing to participate in that?
I will certainly ask. My church in Middletown is also doing one, and we plan to, where I'm coming from the Eastern Shore. I was on the Eastern Shore out there for 15 years, and we started several programs of that sort that ran 6 weeks and were basically free for the kids that needed it. So we have a lot of experience in doing that, but we don't have anything in this area right now, so I'd love to promote that in my churches. What was the name of your church?
Trinity Evangelical Lutheran Church, right here on Main Street.
I happen to know, and this is one of the big needs that we have in these two counties, Washington and Frederick, there's not enough of these. And so that's at the center of our discussion.
We offered the camp to the children, was Terry, for $50 a person, right? The church is subsidizing it because they want to make it cost effective for the families.
Absolutely, and that's a big deal in the summertime.
And we've gotten, I think, close to 20 children signed up already. Don't ask me the date because I don't remember.
I was just about to.
I think it's in June. I could probably pull it up on my church website, but I'm not going to be available for it because it's during the day.
I'll look into it.
But I can shoot you.
Yes, that's my email
Is
address.
this your, is that a cell phone number?
Yes.
I'll text you my pastor's information.
Fantastic, thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, that'd be good. Thank you.
Can I answer any other questions? So, back to your question, Mr. Hanson, if that is something that you need, substance abuse, counseling is something that you need. Prevention.
Just something like that. Just trying to get an idea what kind of services you have available.
Yeah, we have those available in other areas. I'm not aware that we have something running here at this point. But if that's something that you need, then we will pull those resources and get it going.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Thanks for coming.
No, thank you.
Here's a pen.
Yeah, we heard you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Caesar. Take care.
Good evening, Colin Schanberger, 15 Young Avenue. Just for transparency's sake, I'm not here representing BMUC. I'm here as a citizen. Came to my attention that unfortunately Paul Mantello is leaving. I just want to take this time to personally thank him for his work and dedication to the town. I've seen a lot of initiative from him, spearheading a lot of projects here. I'm excited for your new chapter in life, but unfortunately, this coming to a close for the town, it sucks. There's a lot going on that you're involved in. I hate to see you go, but can't knock you for bettering yourself. But I just want to take this time to really, from a father to father, like what you've done. This is my home, and I appreciate the efforts you've done. On the flip side of that, with mayor and council, I don't want to berate you or harass you guys or anything, but I think this is a good time to address staffing issues with the town. Paul carries he's got a lot of irons in the fire, and you guys are aware of this. This is nothing new to you. But it's concerning to me with his departure, how many projects are now going to be left unattended. And again, you guys are aware of that. And one of the things that I think of is we used to have the town engineer, and they would be able to do the capital improvement projects and monitor that, things like the reservoir project that's happening. And then if the town manager role was freed up from not having to babysit all those projects, they could pursue other avenues of grant funding. For chief, it's called the COPS Hiring Program, CHP. It's a bad acronym because everybody thinks CHIP, they think of California Highway Patrol. They actually offer, last year there was $400 million available for funding for police officers for the first 3 years of a new hire. Covers all the salary, all the benefits for police officers. So there's a way that funds could have been freed up in the general fund budget to help fund the position for the office staff. The DOJ, Department of Justice, offers a lot of funding available to small municipalities. Again, I know you guys are taxed, everybody's taxed, and there's a lot of, as far as labor and everything. So I don't really want to harass you guys about it, but I think this is a good time. The town is growing. Inevitably, these are realities that are going to be faced. There's going to be a need for staffing. From my understanding, I don't think the front staff has ever really grown. I guess they picked up the planner and they had the engineer, but that position's no longer filled. So you guys do a tough job. I'm not taking that away from you, but I hope in the future when we get a good town manager that don't slip through the cracks. And unfortunately, Boone Pro is just kind of a stepping stone. It's an unfortunate reality for you guys. Chief, you see it. So, I mean, your recruits start out, what, $13.50? Frederick County, your recruit can start out $27 an hour.
We're looking more than that now.
But,
Yeah, a little bit.
so, again, Paul, thank you. I appreciate your efforts. You've taught me a lot, just a few projects we worked, and I appreciate that. Best of luck to you in your next endeavor, man.
Thank you, Colin. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
And also-
Here's your application, sir.
I'm not qualified for that. Also, I'm thankful that I can come in front of you guys and talk to you. That means a lot to live in this country, that I can come forth and vent just get my ideas out to you guys. There's people that aren't quite so fortunate in this world. So this is a big privilege that I have to be able to come in front of a governing body and give my opinion, and I appreciate you guys listening.
Well, we appreciate all your
Well,
comments.
what makes it nice is that you do come in
Right, yeah.
and say.
No, I just put it on
We
Facebook.
appreciate you volunteering.
Yeah. Hide behind the screen.
Thank you, Colin.
Yep.
Anita Swiger? Swiger, no?
That's fine.
Okay.
No, my comment tonight is about 50 St. Paul Street. I wanted to express that I was a bit disappointed to feel that the out-of-town developer side seemed to be more concerned to the planning commission than the residents concerned who lived here and voted and contributed to the well-being of the town. This was done even to the point where one person on the commission was, quote, legally required to recuse himself from the commission vote because he lived close to 50 St. Paul Street. I live at 56 St. Paul Street, which is right next door. I see all the mess. I've put up with it for years. And ever since the property was purchased and received a building permit on June 14th of 2021, the property has been, until recently, decrepit and uninhabitable, and something just as simple as keeping the grass to a reasonable level required a call or two to the town. And I don't think Pacheco and Associates are tied in any way to our town and feel that they aren't invested in the concerns that the neighbors might have about the properties below them. I've voiced these concerns, both written and orally, to the planning commission. And, you know, would be interested in seeing any of that. I'd be happy to provide it to you.
Oh, we can have access to the records.
Okay.
If you've already presented to.
Okay, thank you.
We appreciate your comments. Thank you very much. Anybody have any questions or anything?
I'll talk about that a little more in our report.
Okay, thank you. David Bell? Yes, sir.
Hello. David Bell, I'm 22 St. Paul Street. I'm also would like to voice my disappointment with the Planning Commission for seemingly not taking the public comments into account when approving the 50 St. Paul Street minor subdivision. This property had a building permit now for 18 and a half months, and they only recently enclosed the property to keep out animals the week that the Planning Commission was going to vote on the minor subdivision. They've been a terrible neighbor. I also have a concern that the subdivision should not have been considered a minor subdivision because per the ordinance for minor subdivision for Boonesborough, it requires the use of existing roads. And there was a question whether St. Paul Street Extended was vacant or was abandoned or not. And in fact, at the last meeting where the vote occurred, Riley said that question was going to Washington County to figure out. Mr. Mantello then later on and said that yes, they did determine that the street was abandoned. So by my estimation, if the street is abandoned, then that means the street needs to be recreated, and so therefore a minor subdivision required the use of existing streets. And there was even at the meeting, one of the council members suggested if there were questions about this, why was there a rush to get the vote done? The chair seemed to intercede and say, well, all of that will be dealt with when the development goes to the Washington County. Because there was also a question of if it's a 2-lane street, how wide does it have to be? Riley said, I don't know. Again, that's Washington County. So the board went ahead, even though one commission member suggested that they hold off, they went ahead and voted anyway. So it seemed like even though in the 2 meetings where this was discussed, 7 or 8 people at least showed up and voiced concerns about this, but, and the Pacheco owner could not even show up the day that it was voted on. So it seems like what we had to say was given no weight at all. Now, maybe, I'm sure this will probably, if they proceed with the development, will come before the town again, and then maybe we will have a better chance of being heard, but we definitely, and I've talked to some of the other people who attended, and they were very disappointed that it seemed like if there were questions, they should have held off, and that we really weren't heard. And on a very different side note, living on the corner of St. Paul Street and High Street, the traffic speed is outrageous, especially in the early mornings, and traffic coming off Boonesborough Mountain Road, coming down St. Paul Street, and the people going on High Street off of Main Street, trying to get away from the light. It's outrageous, and there are small children living back on High Street. Someone's gonna get injured, and then maybe something will be done.
On a note on High Street, we have received a grant for sidewalk safety for Orchard Drive, Ford Avenue, and Center Street for sidewalks. Our police department has set up numerous times on High Street. Of course, when they sit there, they slow down.
We even did that trail,
Yeah,
we
did.
didn't we do a
Trailer.
speed?
We even had the speed trailer.
And they was all within 2 or 3 miles. We didn't have anything outrageous. And that was set up for 2 weeks, both directions.
Well, I came out of Fifth this morning, and there was someone coming up St. Paul Street that had to have been doing 50 miles an hour.
What
I mean,
time was
that was 6:30 in the morning, but.
That trailer was running 24/7. It wasn't like it was just during the day. It was set up, and we didn't have anything going that fast.
Well, on St. Paul Street, the problem with where the traffic camera or whatever it was, hidden. There's a truck that sits right there, and I'm sure that it didn't capture all the cars that were coming up there when the truck was
Well, that's
sitting
where the
there.
complaint was. That's the reason why it was set there. That's the reason why it was set there. But we didn't have anything over 45. That my memory.
No, but isn't 45 concerning?
Well, it is. I'm saying we didn't have anything over 45, and I'm trying to think the exact, the top speed, and it was right around 44, 45. But I can pull that and give you what the numbers were. I presented it here.
But I mean, not to be combative, but isn't the speed limit in town 25 miles an hour?
Sure is, yeah.
And I've had some conversation with Raleigh too about that development up there, and to make sure the county does something about the stormwater management. We just got that fixed about 6 to 10 years ago. All that water was running off down through there, down through Lincoln Avenue on out Main Street. And it was washing everybody's lawns, sidewalks, everything out. We just finally got the county about 8 or 10 years ago to fix that. And we do not want another situation with stormwater management again. So that was my biggest concern with Raleigh. Where's the water gonna go other than down our streets? And that has to be a big question. And that has to be looked at and addressed too. So, thank you for your comments. We sure do appreciate it. And it's not a go yet, so.
So does
It's
this
still in the
come before
plan.
the council for a vote, the subdivision, or it doesn't?
Um,
Like, I don't understand the process, I guess.
No.
But doesn't the site plan,
The site.
The site plan
process
comes.
Does, yeah,
Which is what's next.
that's the next phase.
So the site plan process is gonna have to then have answered all the questions about
Yes.
the abandoned road and
And stormwater
stormwater
management.
management,
Yeah.
and, okay.
so the planning commission can approve the subdivision. Then they approve the site plan, but then the site plan comes to the mayor and council for
Right.
approval.
Okay.
For final approval. Yeah. Okay. Anybody have any questions for the gentleman? Anything else, sir?
No, thanks.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming. Okay, I don't have any mayor and council correspondence there's any other council members. We did have the American Legion had a very nice, large crowd, Easter egg hunters down at the police department Saturday. When they hollered go, it was 1 o'clock, and by 5 minutes after 1, they found all the eggs.
It took that long?
So they really did a good job. Chief?
Already for March, we had a deal with the IRS. The schools had Read Across America event, and Emily volunteered. She went to Hickory Elementary. They already had an officer up here at the elementary school, so she knew somebody in Hickory. And she donated her time and went there and read books for the elementary class. Myself and her attended the Public Safety Commission, and myself and Amy attended the mayor and council meeting. We had 72 calls for service, 82 traffic stops, and a criminal arrest is what we did as far as traffic and criminal. The new cruiser is done. They say it's going to be delivered this week. They said that last week also. So, I mean, every Monday, it's done, we're going to bring it down, and it hasn't showed up.
Where is it?
Above Keystone Ford. They're putting the lights and stuff. They had the lights and stuff put in. And they said it was done and they was going to bring it down. Actually, they was going to bring it down when they had a demonstration for the fire department. 2-3 weeks ago, they did a thing with the lights and all that kind of stuff for the fire trucks. They were supposed to bring it down then, but apparently when they tried to turn the lights on, they wasn't working right. So anyway, every Monday it's done, it'll be down and
Want me to run somebody up there?
that's where it's at.
I'm
So,
on that way tomorrow, and I'm just
There
stop
you
by.
go.
yeah. New guy, he's gonna be cut loose, he's gonna be riding by himself, he's been riding with other officers. So when he's working, there'll always be somebody else working, he's doing good. That's pretty much everything he's got going on.
Good.
And we'll make sure that we have 2 officers for I'll post that down there, we'll make sure somebody has 2 people that are working.
If you need anything else, Ken has my contact.
Okay, yeah, it shouldn't be, I'll just make sure the schedule that's posted for that. Like I said last year, I don't remember it being asked.
Yeah, it's like I said.
Yeah, no big deal.
And I do believe that I don't know if you guys will switch frequencies, but I do believe that the 2 deputies that ride with us are on a special event.
Yeah, they got special events, yeah, we switched to them. We got everything the county has, yeah. Yeah, no problem there.
Thank you, Chief. Anybody have any questions of Chief? God bless you.
Sorry.
Well, April is Arbor Day, so to kick Arbor Day off, we have an Arbor Day proclamation. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas the holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation, the world, and here in the town of Boonesborough. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of their precious topsoil by wind and water, lower our heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable source, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. Whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, Howard W. Long, Mayor of the Town of Boonesborough, do hereby proclaim April 23rd, 2023 as Arbor Day in the town of Boonesborough, and I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant and care for trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. This 23rd day of April in year 2023. Signed, Howard W. Long. And don't forget about park cleanup that day at 1 o'clock. Anybody available? bring your gloves, and they will plant a tree that day. Do I have a motion to declare April 23rd Arbor Day?
I'll make a motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed, the same, abstained, motion carries. Thank you. Maryland Department of Environmental 2022 MS4 review.
So, every October, we submit our progress report to MDE, and this is the report we got back. Essentially, we're, right on target, everything's moving along pretty smoothly. I think we added another 5 acres of restoration for this permit term. And then, of course, the wastewater treatment plant stream restoration and reforestation project, the one we partnered with Soil Conservation on with, should be happening here this summer. And that's supposed to add about 30 acres of credit. So that will, the first 5-year permit will be taken care of and then some. So, any questions?
Did anybody help you, like, is Bradley familiar with the report, or do we have a plan for anybody?
It's funny you should say that, Paul, and I was just talking about.
I just, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
as we pass things on to the next person who's taking it.
I'm considering
Projects.
asking Riley to head it up for a while here because we've got to get this.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it looks like we need to put information,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
So that was my thought too, apparently. It's too big to fail. So, actually, I got that note. Already.
I was gonna talk about this later, but I am developing, the transition plan. And MS4 is, one of the major areas to discuss and, sharing contacts and the process and all that sort of stuff. Essentially, you just have to jump in with both feet.
Yep.
Learn it. So, that's what Ethan did, and that's what I had to do. So, it shouldn't be an issue, whoever you decide to. Riley's capable. So.
Okay. Rate study present. Anybody have any other questions or Paul on MS4 permitting? Okay, rate study presentation and recommendation by Councilmember Kitchen.
Yes.
You got all dressed up for it.
Good evening, everyone. Here's my stick ball. Once you stick that in the.
All right.
Right hole, in case I-
This is the last time I'm gonna.
On that note.
So I have copies. So I have copies of my slides for everybody. No reading ahead. And there is a quiz afterward, so pay attention. Yeah.
Eric, can we have one?
It's not the race car pictures, I know that's something.
You got race car pictures on there?
Yeah, I think
That
I
sounds
have.
more interesting.
You haven't seen the updates I did to see if you approved of them.
I'm on page 6 already, let's go.
How's it look? And I didn't.
Yeah, I did see a version,
I was at
but
Paul
I
5.
understand there's new and improved.
Well, I don't know if it's improved.
keep mine hidden.
And remember, before you click the clicker and go to the next slide, you have to say, next slide, please.
Oh, is that the way that works?
Also, I have pitchforks for sale outside if anybody needs them. Torches, pitchforks.
That's late.
That's opportunistic.
Oh, what the heck version you got on this thing?
Updated 4.4.
Yeah, I mean, set up slideshow.
Yeah, you can do that. There should be just a start slideshow button.
From the beginning, didn't it?
That looks like the same page we have right
Why don't you
there.
just right click it and then.
This is a different version.
And then up top left where it says from beginning, yeah, there you go. Now you got her.
How about that?
Next slide, please.
Okay. So, water and sewer rate study that we've all been working on. I first must admit to everyone that Paul called me, I don't know, 2 months ago and said, well, we got back on that. So I'm glad you called, because if you wouldn't have called, Colin and I have been unable to get together, get hooked up. Little kids, too much other stuff, so I'm glad Paul got us together. Okay, so for years, I'm gonna say for decades, the water and sewer rates have not kept up with inflation. I think we all kind of know that. The systems will not stand on their own without subsidy from the general fund, right? We've all seen the CERCAP report, and I think we all agree it's time to do something. What's the something, okay? So 5 of us have been meeting probably 10 times now since early in March. The 5 is Paul, Brian, Yvette, Colin, and myself. And I must say, it's been quite productive, and we have a pretty darn good team there, we really do. So, Mr. Bob Sweeney, sitting in the back of the room, said, and he was the chair of the BMUC, and it struck home with me, Bob, when you said it. Before we raise the rates, we better have our story together. He couldn't be more correct about that, and I'm gonna submit, well, the story's in the numbers, whether it's popular or not, because it's not popular. Mary Lee did not bring tomatoes tonight to throw at me. Specifically.
I have them for sale if you need them.
Okay. So now,
Yeah, they're a comedy team.
so our goal, the goal of our group, this isn't just fancy buzzwords. We want to do a responsible budget, a sustained budget, and a transparent budget to move the town forward. I think we all can agree with that, one way or another. Next slide, please.
There you go.
So we have some opportunities, perhaps. Is it possible to achieve full cost recovery to have the system stand on its own without any general fund subsidy? Well, that's a big pill to swallow right there, but we'll talk about it. Can we identify fixed costs and variable costs and align each to their respective revenue category? Yes, we can. We've done it. I'm going to show it to you. Now, I didn't provide all of our work papers, believe me. We have all kinds of stuff, and I didn't want to put it all that. Third bullet, do we want to build reserves in addition to full cost recovery? Well, that's a popular thing that you should really do, but it's just another darn cost that somebody's going to have to pay for. So this little picture here we dreamed up, it sort of shows the cost areas, if you will, and the revenue areas. So down the left side, fixed costs. Fixed fees on the right side should pay for your fixed costs. Variable costs, the usage rates or the volumetric rates as we call them, should pay for your variable costs. What about the debt on our loans? What about the debt that's due back to the general fund? Reserves, I already mentioned. Water loss, I just threw on there because it's a cost. We all know it's a cost. Further down the right side, as far as revenue, what about new tap fees? Well, we didn't talk about that yet. New customer bills, what about the new houses are built? We know that's more revenue. Something there I was thinking, I forgot it. What the heck was that? Tap fees, I don't know. Anyhow, we didn't get to some of the stuff yet, but I think you'll be pleased where we did get to, I hope. So identifying costs. So as a basis for water and sewer each separately, we use the average costs that were provided to our group by Yvette and Brian, basically. We use the average from FY 20 through 22. Okay, we just took an average. Then we broke those costs for water and sewer each separately again. We broke them into one of two categories. They're either fixed or variable. So there are fixed costs that are related to employees, but there are other fixed costs. And then you have variable costs. So we identified all of them in our work paper. So what we did with fixed costs, the last bullet, we broke those into two subcategories, whether they're employee related or not. I think I already said that. But the reason we did that is because we wanted to consider the cost of living allowance, the COLA, for employee related costs, and the consumer price index inflationary factors for the non-employee related costs. I'm probably getting ahead of myself here a little bit. You're right. So for each of the next 7 years, FY '24 through '30, we projected our fixed cost increases from the basis of our average of those 3 years, and we applied a COLA or a CPI as applicable. But here's the note about that. What we used, I used an average of FY '15 through '21 to figure out the average COLA and CPI. So I think we can all say that, well, I probably used too low of an average, because last year was a lot more than average. The average over those 7 years was less than 2% for COLA and CPI rates. So these numbers that I'm going to show you, you know, we used a low ball average just to keep it reasonable. So, in an effort to have our fixed fees cover our fixed costs by FY '30, we calculated our fixed fee increases per year. This is where the unpopular part comes in. Okay, so we came up with a 7-year plan. So if we talk about just the usage, the fees for water, did I skip a slide? Did it one down? Yeah, it is. No, we're good. Yeah, okay.
On their page.
So the usage fees for water, kind of the same thing. For each of the next 7 years, we projected our variable cost increases from the basis FY '20 to '22 and applied the consumer price index average. I think this is good news. Our current volumetric or usage fees will cover our variable costs before FY '30 without any increase. As a matter of fact, I just looked today, I didn't know this, honestly. Keysville's usage rates are higher than ours. I just never knew that, never looked. So that's kind of good news. Okay. If we talk about fixed fees for sewer, we did the same thing for each of the next 7 years. We projected our fixed cost increases from our basis and applied the COLA or CPI. We had to do due diligence here. We included a credit for our potential savings, not our potential savings, our real savings for the blue press. So in an effort to have our fixed fees cover our fixed costs by FY '30, we calculate our fixed fee increases per year. And I'm going to show you some numbers here. I could have rearranged this thing, but I wanted to just say the words before we show you the numbers. Finally, on the plan, the usage fees for sewer, for each of the next 7 years, we projected our variable costs and applied the CPI. And again, our current volumetric usage fees will cover our variable costs well before FY '30 without any increases. So I think I'm pretty pleased with that. So now, okay, we've been talking about this stuff. What are the numbers? Am I missing anything, Colin, Brian, anybody? Good so far? So what are the numbers? Water in town, the increase we calculated, and by the way, the BMUC did see this, or yes, they did see this. That's what I was saying. I forgot it. So for water in town, the increase is $7.47 a quarter. Okay, but that's per year for each of the next 7 years. This is the unpopular part. So in FY '24, if it's approved, the charge will go from $15 a quarter to $22.47 a quarter for the fixed fee. Water out of town increases $11.19 a quarter, but that's per year for each of the next 7 years. So in FY '24, the charge will go from $22.50 a quarter to $33.69 a quarter. And that's it. No additional charge for usage for the volumetric. So that's fixed fees for water. So those increases will generate $58,000 in revenue in the very first year. And if it's approved for all 7 years, which I understand that's a lot of discussion on, but it stays the same, $58K a year for each of the next 7 years. And bear in mind, the current ratio of $15 and $22.50 for in-town versus out-of-town, that's maintained throughout our plan. I have no idea where they came up with originally $15 and $22.50. It looks to me like they just took $15, divided it in half, and added that again to $15 and $22.50. That's, we don't know, none of us know.
None of us are gonna know.
Yeah. Okay, so usage fees for water, again, there's no change from our current fee of $6.20 for the first tier, $9.30 for the second tier. In fact, in out years, I've already said there's a possibility to decrease the usage rates depending on much further discussion. Now, we have had an engineer tell us it's never a good idea to decrease your rates, but that's up for discussion also. I said see spreadsheet handouts. I actually have another little spreadsheet that shows as the fixed fees increase, the volumetric, the money that has to be made up decreases. Kind of a neat little picture. I just didn't bring all that to talk about this for half a minute. So what are the numbers for fixed fee for sewer? The increase is $5.37 per quarter. And again, that's per year for each of the next 7 years, if it's approved. But in FY24, the charge will go from $55 a quarter, that's current, to $60.37 a quarter. There's no out-of-town customers for sewer. But that increase alone will generate an increased $37K in the first year. Okay. Usage fees for sewer, again, no change from our current fee of $9 for the first tier and $13 for the second tier. And in fact, in the out years, there's a possibility to decrease the usage rates. Again. So our suggestion, and it actually was approved by the BMUC, the last increases we had at all were very minimal, and they were in FY18. In order to meet the current budget cycle, that's why we've kind of rushed this a little bit, I'm gonna say. We're suggesting to implement year 1 of the plan in FY24. Increase the fixed fees for water and sewer as I just talked about. So as an example, for an in-town customer, the water fixed fee goes up to $7.47, and the sewer fixed fee goes up to $5.37, for a total increase on their quarterly bill of $12.84, or $4.28 a month. Now, I don't think that's too hateful. I really don't.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
You know me,
I hope I can answer.
Well, I'm a little puzzled because you're proposing a increase in the sewer quarter of less than what you are the water, and the water fund's more solvent than the sewer fund.
We can go back and look at those details some more, but that's what we came up with.
Okay. I'm puzzled on that.
And I guess the real
Because I
answer
would
to
expect
it
the
is
opposite.
I
the
think
costs, right, because we talked about this,
Yeah.
it's the fixed costs and the variable costs on the water side versus the sewer side. It's crazy, I know, but I understand, because I had the
None of
same.
this includes the debt.
Yeah, we're
Right.
not-
Oh, okay, so you don't have the debt in the fixed fee?
No.
Okay, okay.
That's some new slides that we're doing.
Okay.
We want to break that out because we need to be more transparent when it comes to debt service.
And these are, how they, in line with other municipalities about our side, about the same.
Boonesboro sits about the middle of the pack. You
Middle
have,
of the
you
pack.
have some municipalities that charge significantly more, you have municipalities that are way under.
Okay.
City of Hagerstown, the best we can come up with is, it's just because they have a huge customer base. Their water bills are lower, but they have a lot more.
They do.
So, that, comparing rates with Middletown, Brunswick, City of Frederick County, Smithsburg, Hagerstown, Washington County, we're pretty much in the middle of that.
That's good.
So,
Yeah, we talked about Hagerstown specifically, how
Thank
in
you,
the heck are they so cheap? And it must be a scale of the economies thing where they're subsidizing, we don't know, because they're just real cheap.
If it wasn't for the sewer debt, the sewer fund would be okay. As a-
Okay.
that is.
Well, you're not telling me that that's not in the
Right,
fixed
yeah, that was
fees.
my.
Yeah, that's new slides.
Okay,
That's what. I added
explains
on.
a lot, okay.
So your numbers so far, just rough numbers, is that the fixed fees are gonna be about $83 a quarter.
After 7 years, you mean?
No,
For
the first year.
Yes, for water and sewer, yeah.
Yeah, it's roughly, I mean, it's a little bit around it, but $83 versus the now what we're paying, $70.
Yeah.
So-
50.
Yeah, so about $13 a quarter,
Yeah.
roughly.
Yeah, again, $428 a month.
Okay.
And, I don't wanna get ahead of myself there.
Okay.
Anyway, so the BMUC did approve this $4.20 a month for $12.84 a quarter. They approved it on 3/22. And I don't know if we're ready for a motion tonight to include that in FY '24 budget, however y'all wanna do it, but I think as we move on, I am getting hit, so when we get FY '23 actuals, then we can go back and take another look at this stuff. But anyhow, no other increases in FY '24. Bob, am I doing okay so far?
Yeah, I got a question that I've asked a million times. Since the major revenue source for the town is property tax, and the property value is based on the fact that they have water and sewer, okay, why isn't it being taken into consideration that says you set aside some percentage of the property tax for debt service only?
You're taking the
On
words
water
out of my
sewer.
mouth.
Huh?
You're taking the words out of my mouth.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, you've heard me
Yeah.
lecture on this before.
yeah.
But it just seems reasonable to me that as the town grows, and whether we like it or not, the property assessment's going up. Okay, and if you set some percentage, you guys figure out what that is, it goes to debt service for water and sewer, because that's making that property valuable. Without it, that property is,
That's certainly an option. Let me get there a little bit. Maybe we can
Okay.
talk about that. I think this is where we cut off at the BMUC now.
Okay.
So now we've talked about debt. What does the water owe? So Brian provided me some numbers there. There's 2 loans for the alternate 48 water main extension. Both loans are included as line items in the annual budgets. The $70 debt service that's included in charge in those particular out-of-town customer bills covers the debt payment. Period. I think we're pretty good there.
Yeah.
Okay? Sewer, we're not quite so lucky. There's 2 loans. The Parkview Interceptor, and there's only 14,000 remaining on that. But on the bond for the sewer plant, there's 4.9 million remaining. Both of those loans are included as line items in the annual budget. I'm gonna digress here for a minute. I remember 10 years ago, when I was looking at the water and sewer budget, there were 2 quarterly payments in there. And the other 2, I didn't know where they were. They weren't in the general fund budget. And I questioned, well, where are they at? And Megan told me, we pay them out of reserves. And I said, well, that's not a good idea. At least they gotta be line items in the budget somewhere. So they are all line items in the budget. But what's happening, those 2 sewer plant loans are line items in the budget, but the third bullet, the financial statements, which I have a copy with me, they show that the sewer's operating at a loss of about $300,000 every year. And I can't believe the auditors haven't said, well, what's this all about? But then what happens is Brian tells me they just transfer some money and pay it. So.
We approved loans in the past to the sewer, and
Yeah,
it's been questioned by the auditors, if we don't soon start making a payment
Okay,
back to the general fund, that there's gonna be a question,
well, I got a slide.
even if it's
about
$1.
that. I have a slide about that too.
Okay, so, yeah, I mean, it's not, it's no.
Wait, there's more.
You got everything, you got everything covered.
Well, I don't know if I have it covered, but we tried to, get our facts together here. So that 300K shortfall is made whole by a gift from the general fund. And notice I called it a gift.
It's a loan temporarily.
So because of these loans or gifts over time, the sewer owes the general fund about 1.8 million. Well, I don't know how we ever expect to pay for that. That's another discussion too. But I just wanted to go on this fact finding mission to even see what the heck's out there. So we need a plan to pay back this 1.8 million, or do we? That's another discussion to be had. But we do need to discuss a plan for the sewer to not operate at a 300K loss going forward. Do we implement the debt service charge? Do we do what Bob's suggesting, that we just have a line item in the general fund budget that says this is covering this? There's ways to do this, a lot of discussion. So what's next? I'm gonna say that I think we at least have a framework to do our analysis as we move forward. Now, at least this whole team of us knows what the heck's out there. Because before you dig into this stuff, you just don't know. So I think we have a framework. And as I said, when we get FY23 actuals, I think we can just go back through the whole darn thing again and see where we end up. Let the gang of five, I call this the gang of five, let us just continue this. Take suggestions and input from anybody else who wants to help. Talk about this debt, talk about this building of reserves. And that's all I had. So really, I don't know tonight if you wanted to approve what the BMUC's already approved. If you don't like it, if you like it, at least it's something in FY24 that we can, if the townspeople come to us and say, oh my God, you're raising rates, we have a story of why we're raising them, and we're really only raising them 1/7 of what we thought the fixed fee should be raised.
Eric, you guys did a fantastic job.
Well, I tell you, I don't know if it's fantastic or not, Mr. Mayor, I appreciate that, but we sure have worked our ass off.
Very, very good.
So,
Well, that's up to council. I'll gladly entertain a motion to accept this.
I don't
For
want to do that tonight
2024.
because it's not on the agenda.
Well,
To raise
for two,
rates
yeah, for
and
two
put
reasons. I
public hearing.
mean,
do-
I know
do
how
part of the
everybody
budget,
feels
yeah.
that they like to get the information and kind of have a chance to look at it. And I understand that too, so, but I would like to talk about it again at the workshop and see where we are so that we can put it on the agenda for May, hopefully, to come up with some sort of a, you
Yeah, I
know.
mean, like, instead of 747, like I did.
I know, I just rounded,
750.
exactly.
Yeah,
Thank you.
For billing purposes.
Whole number.
Yeah,
That's been my whole argument, darn it.
That's why I kept rounding numbers.
I mean, I disagree. I think you need to be very specific.
You're that psycho that just pumps gas and stops it, aren't you? You don't round it up. Disgusting.
Listen, 747 is exact and it's transparent. 750 makes us look like, oh.
We fluffed it up.
I see Paul's point, you know, it does look like you actually gave some thought to it. And
Right.
said,
Yeah,
"Oh,
let's
it's
sit around
740."
or something, but anyway.
750 is like the 15 and the 2250.
Yeah.
Like, they obviously were just spitballing.
But if someone says, oh, we went 750, it could have been 747, they're trying to rip us off for 3 cents.
Not really.
As far as the 747,
No, it's not. That's what we need to get there. And I mean, to continue to pay out of the general fund, the water and the sewer fund are supposed to be enterprise funds. They're supposed to pay for themselves. And, you know, we can't, in my opinion, continuing to subsidize from the general fund is a non-starter. You know, these two funds need to pay for themselves. And I'm pretty sure most taxpayers, the large majority, don't know that this is happening. And if they knew that their tax money was paying for sewer debt, they'd be pretty upset. Because that's, you know, we haven't been very transparent about that.
Yeah, but Paul, it's either you take it out of this hand or you take it out of that hand.
Yeah.
And I don't think.
But that's wrong.
And I don't think.
No.
The general fund is tax money.
Are my taxes gonna go down because you're increasing the
Yeah.
rates?
That would be something to consider. But we've also discussed the possibility, ideally, you want to capture about 30% of your expenses with the variable charge. The other 70% you should be capturing with your fixed fees. So in that scenario, the idea that possibly we could lower rates and allow people to benefit in that way.
Well, does anybody else subsidize water and sewer with property tax?
Yeah.
A lot of people do, but it's not the right way to do it. That makes it not an enterprise fund. It's not the correct way to do it.
But you can also change allocations and then you know what I mean, it's the same thing.
Mary Lee, I'm surprised to hear you say that. You are a stickler for transparency and
We're
for-
being
and
very
for-
transparent.
I was gonna say,
We're
why-
putting
it's still
a line item in the
transparent.
general
You
fund,
guys,
we're being
2 years
very
ago,
transparent.
you transferred $500,000.
Transparently, we did it. in
That's
public
not
meeting,
transparent.
and it's
That's just a-
totally
that's just
listed on
An
the-
amorphous number. You did no research. You had no idea what this was gonna be used for. It was essentially just a public
You
sludge.
can't say we had no idea what it was being used
Sure I can.
for.
Sure,
Exactly
absolutely
did
can.
research and exactly knew what it was
Anyway,
being used for, because we analyzed cash flow in the budget.
Anyway,
I resent those
I bring this
remarks.
back to the workshop for more consideration, more discussion, and I would like to see it move from the workshop to the May mayor and council, so that we can try to get it moving. That's my suggestion.
I'll agree. I agree.
I'll say a couple words about the $7.47. How we came up with that was projecting those costs over 7 years and
Sure,
dividing the seven.
sure,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
So that's how, got there. And I mean, to Bob's point and Paul's point, these are all decisions that have to be made. I think we're kind of taking this opportunity to get things in the right cost categories and such.
Sure.
And, maybe we want to do that, and maybe we want to keep subsidizing. These are all discussions that have to be had. But we had to first get our arms around what's there, because I didn't really know the whole picture.
What we're doing now and what could possibly happen in the future? What happens when when you guys have to get more debt? What's the consideration there? These things are gonna keep popping up. The idea that we're gonna continue to subsidize from the general fund is a short-term solution.
They didn't have a plan B with the sewer debt to begin with.
Don't pass the buck. I mean,
I'm not passing
you
the
guys,
buck, I'm making a statement.
I know,
They didn't
but-
have a plan B when they did that sewer debt.
I know.
And we're not gonna
You're
move
just
forward.
pointing the finger to 10 years ago.
We're not
You
gonna,
can't
we're
keep
not gonna
doing
move
that.
forward without a plan though, is what I'm trying to say.
I mean, that's just a vague statement.
These guys are
No, it's
working
not.
on it.
Sure it is.
So if I may,
These guys are working on a good plan.
I think ultimately, looking at industry standards, AWWA, they recommend it's like, you can almost make the analogy of a three-legged stool for the enterprise funds, right? So you get your fixed, you get your variable, and if you're really lucky, you get
Reserve.
debt services and reserves. And that's the model we're trying to approach, so we can cut the umbilical cord from the general fund. Because the reality is we're almost $7 million in debt on the sewer, if you account for the loan and then the money that we borrowed. So that's the idea. As of right now, the current trajectory, there's no way that we can ever get out of this. We'll just end up owing $7 million to the general fund. So I think that's the plan, and there were so many layers to this onion that, like, we couldn't just do this big massive overhaul. It had to be a step. At first it was to correct the inequities that existed with the EDUs for the multifamily homes. So that, we got that piece of the puzzle done. Now we're moving on. The next conversation is gonna be the debt service and stuff. Does that debt service eventually just stay? Do we call it debt service / a CIP? That way we continue running that along for the future of the bills. So that way we don't run into a situation like we did with the water or the sewer plant upgrade. As you mentioned, if some of the property taxes were set aside to a debt service or a CIP fund, maybe we've been in a different position. Unfortunately, decisions that were made, but what I'm hoping is that we learn from the past, correct it, and move forward. The town of Middletown, they have a $50, I think it's $50, every person pays $50 a quarter to a CIP fund. Just goes on your bill, $50, you pay it. And that's money that they have accruing for a capital improvement project that comes down the pipe.
And that's per quarter.
Per quarter.
We have a CIP and a debt.
But the reality is water and sewer should be treated as an enterprise, because it does offer a commodity, and it should be self-sustaining. It shouldn't be leaching off of the general fund. It's just not a sustainable process. So, unfortunately, there's 100 ways that we can get to that route, and there's gonna be different opinions that come up about it, but ultimately, I think it just needs to move in a direction that's beneficial.
So to that end, I'll close by asking the mayor and others, what would you like our team to do from this point forward? Anything right now other than talk about the increase we suggested at the workshop. Where do we go from here?
Yeah, I think we'll advertise it and talk about it at the workshop, Eric. I think you guys did a great job.
I don't know what else you
I
all
don't
can put
know,
in.
I don't know what else you can do either.
I mean-
But it's there. I know it's gonna be an inconvenience to people, but we gotta survive. We just can't keep on going in the direction we're going. There's gotta be change,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Right, and to a previous thing that I stated earlier with my public comment, if that $300,000 wasn't constantly going to fund the sewer fund, that would free up money to pay more staff to help these all issues, and it comes full circle, so.
Yeah.
I know it's a tough pill to swallow, and I know people get concerned when prices go up, but the reality is that everything has gone up.
Everything is.
It's foolish to sit there and think that you can't raise the rates.
And we're in a very, you guys, I should say, are in a very advantageous position right now. You have $18 million in grant funds, and you're gonna be updating and renovating huge parts of your water and sewer systems. And so ideally, the next few years are gonna be good. This is the time to be slowly integrating a sustainable budget and to slowly make the water and the sewer fund true enterprise funds. The time is now, and that's, I think what Eric is trying to be diplomatic here and just say, let's try this first, a little taste and then work on it when there's more time next fiscal year, so.
But also, if you look at all three together, the general fund consistently comes out, the 300, 400, 500,000 over. So that is where we're getting the money. So again, it's kind of like the taxpayers is keeping your infrastructure.
Sure.
And, it's very difficult for a town of our size to have sustained a sewer plant. We're one of the unique municipalities that have our own water and sewer system, and it's a lot of burden for a small infrastructure until we grow. So I'm that one where my house assessment isn't worth anything if I don't have the water and sewer system, there to support it. So to me, the people from the town are getting the benefit, you know what I mean? However they're paying, whether it's through their tax bill or their water and sewer bill, we're providing them with, really good water, a sewer system and lots of public amenities that they've come to, like in our town.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, how much of your home value do you think is derived from being part of a public water and sewer system?
A lot.
No, I was gonna say,
Yeah, it's a lot more than well and sewer.
do more than
Your own well and
extrapolate?
septic for the county.
What's a lot?
So I think if you could add a certain lot size, so like if you're over an acre, then you would be able to have your own sewer system. But now like me, my lot is 9,000 square feet or whatever it is. So I am bound, I have to have that or I cannot exist. So for me, it's paramount. Can I give you a tangible amount? No, I can't.
Yeah.
But in my particular instance, it does. Now, if there's somebody within the town that has an acre lot, they're better off.
No, it's not.
Nobody in the town limits can have their own. It's gonna be on the water and sewer.
But I'm saying just
Right,
if
you
it
had
didn't
that, right,
exist, they would have the capability.
Well, we kind of put ourselves in this position for not raising rates for years too. So I mean, it's self.
But again, the county subsidizes water and sewer infrastructure
Right.
things out of it.
Right.
I mean, it happens, so,
We're getting there.
yeah.
We got the right model to move forward, and we just need to keep moving now. You guys have put a lot into this, and you can't just let this,
No.
this can't just drop off now because we've got too much invested.
Put on the agenda for a workshop. We'll advertise it, so people want to come and listen, they can.
Can I sell the pitchforks for that?
Yes.
So at the workshop, we don't have to go through the whole presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be more just questions that people might have, or, and then we can move it to a vote on.
Do you have a model, Eric, for the raising of the debt service, the debt ceiling, debt service fee?
No, I don't really have a model for that.
Well, we know how much debt service would cost each customer, the sewer debt service,
Sure.
which I think is
$33.
$33.
That's if we charge it per EDU, which the majority of municipalities do. If we started charging a $33 per EDU on the sewer side,
Per quarter.
per quarter, that would make essentially the sewer fund solid.
$145 a year.
Right.
Would pay off the debt.
That would cover our debt payment. So yeah, we did, that's the number we made.
And as the mayor will tell you, they did that, they tried that quickly and didn't.
Well, we
Yeah, fast
had
one
a
quit.
quarterly debt service on there for a while. It was like
Yeah.
15 or 22 or. it
That was for-
only lasted
that was for the
like
water
6
plant.
months.
That was for the
Yeah.
water.
That was for the water.
plant. That wasn't for the sewer plant.
Oh, it's the one.
Yeah, I
Like,
remember, yeah.
got,
Yeah, it was for the
cans,
water.
so.
Okey-doke. Thank you, Eric and Colin. You guys did a great job, and Paul. Thank you very, very much. Ryan and Vet, yeah, very good. Invitation for bid Schaefer Park Community Garden perimeter fence.
So, everybody,
Thanks, sir.
actually, we just got the.
Good to see you, Bob.
Yeah.
Good to be seen.
Is that your cup, brother?
Huh?
Is that your cup?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it's full or empty, but I don't throw it away for you if it's empty.
Whoa. I'm not getting my $10 a month right now, buddy. This is pro bono stuff. Slow your roll.
Whether duties as a son.
Either one, honey.
So we had the site
care,
of the community garden surveyed, and we know exactly what the outline of the fence will be. We just received the $25,000 grant from the Noel Roberts Foundation, and we're ready for procurement. So here's the procurement.
So the 25,000 will cover the cost of it.
It should more than cover it.
Good. We need a
Find
motion
out.
or anything,
Yeah,
or
we're
just?
I'll make a motion that we put that out for bid.
Yeah,
I have one question.
okay.
Sorry, does it have to be submitted in concrete? I guess you can dig the concrete posts up if we decide to do it, just.
That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
if you don't,
It's
kids
not-
will probably.
They'll hang on,
Okay,
yeah, it's
okay.
just,
Kids will
it's
mess
gotta
them
be
up.
way more
Yeah.
sturdy than, yeah. So,
And
I mean,
they
but-
can, because down here in front of the bank, there was a group of kids shaking the street sign so hard that till the street sign fell off. And unfortunately, we couldn't, nobody had any cameras that picked them up.
so you have a motion to put this out.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, and we got a second, we just got the second, so. We have a motion, now I can finish. We got, thank you very much. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstained, motion carries. Bid results, fiscal year audit.
We should say bid result, not with an S. So, for the auditing, we received one bid, and that was from, that would bring one down.
Albright?
Albright, thank you, from Albright, who is our current auditor. And for one year term with the option to extend for 4 additional one-year terms. It's $21,500. Currently, and for the past 5 years, since 2018, we've been paying them $13,500.
What a jump.
I did look back, I did pull the audit results from fiscal year 2018, and most of them were at $21,000.
Yeah, I know.
At the time.
Hughesville and Sharpsburg asked
Yeah.
about the price. It was like,
Yeah.
yeah, they gave us a good discount and it's going away.
So,
Do we have a motion to accept Albright Crumbacher's bid?
I mean, we don't have much of, I mean, we
Well, I
have
know
other
they'd like to
options,
put it out
so
again
unless
and
we
figure
put it out for
choice.
bid, and I don't wanna go down that road,
Since we have
so.
a choice, I'll make a motion.
I was gonna say, I make a motion too, so,
Yeah,
yeah.
we got a motion, is yours a second?
Second, sure.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstained, motion carries.
and we do have the option to place it out for bid next year.
Sure, yeah.
You know, because it's for a one-year term
Right.
with the option to renew, you know.
But the
So-
renewals are the same.
Yeah,
Right,
the
we're
renewals,
locked in.
we're locked in at that
Yeah.
price for
Still
5
put it out
years.
if we wanted to.
Yeah.
So,
Get
Still
better.
advertising, yeah.
yeah, so that's completely up to you.
Accounting services.
So accounting services, we received one from Albright. And, oh, I'm sorry, we're doing retirement. My brain jumped ahead one. So retirement, we received from Smith Elliott Kearns, which is the same group that we have been with since the beginning of time. We've been with
It's
them,
specialized, there's not.
yeah, we've been with them for basically like 17 years. So their rate for us for the first year, so it's the same thing, it's 1 year, but with the option to renew
2 additional.
for, well, wait, 1 second. It's a, what did we vote for? So we did a 2-year term with the option to renew for 5, for a total of 5. So the first year would be $2,075. The next year would be $2,125. Next one would be $2,150. So it basically increases $50 each year.
And we're paying what? Well, we budgeted 1,800
Yeah.
per year.
So.
So,
And I actually spoke to Bill Abels, who is, our main point of contact. And he said that the reason that it's not really that much money to do this is because we switched over to the employee managed pension plan. So they are just there for record keeping and for any assistance that way. So they're not actually doing the investing anymore.
that's a cost savings then.
So.
Well, we gotta have somebody, so I'll make a motion that we accept Smith Elliott Kearns for our retirement plan.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstained, motion carries.
Kim, I think, did you jump accounting services?
She did.
I did, but I went back.
You went back, okay.
Yes.
Now she's back.
I said my eyes jumped ahead of me.
It's okay.
So now you're back to
Now I'm at accounting.
accounting.
Now we're at accounting.
Yes. Sorry about that. Okay, so accounting, we received 2. Yay. But one of them was Albright and Crumbacker.
And we're not allowed to have them.
Right. I spoke to Jason, who was our auditor, to just make sure, and he said absolutely no, because he said it's like the Ghostbusters, you can't cross the lines.
Right.
So technically,
So technically, we have one qualifier.
So the accounting proposal was from a company called Clifton, Larson, and Allen. They work with a lot of different municipalities and also county agencies. I haven't really reached out to speak to them directly.
I reached out to Erin White at Frederick County through
Okay.
email because they're private residents, and she had said they're absolutely top notch. Please feel free to call me if you'd like to discuss further. So she gave them a favorable review. I figured they were kind of the closest.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
To us, because the schools were closed, it was kind of hard to do on Good Friday.
Yeah, exactly.
When we got the information.
So their rate is $200 an hour. That's for their accounting director. Brian has really learned a lot of our accounting system. So it would just be basically for like end of year.
Touch base.
Yeah. So they would just be there to basically like run things by,
Right.
I also heard when you announced the name down yonder here, so they must be pretty good.
You talking to me?
Yeah.
No.
Eric's, didn't you? I thought you said, Oh, didn't you?
No.
I thought somebody said, down there. God, I'm losing it. Sorry about
So we're not gonna, so are we suggesting not doing a monthly fee thing, but an as is?
Well, it's
hourly
as needed.
basis
Yeah, it's an
on-
hourly basis.
They didn't give you a monthly basis.
No. No, because when I put the RFP out, I asked for just hourly because, we don't need
So we
to.
budgeted $8,000, so that's about 40 hours. I mean. are you
And that
good
would
with
be, yeah, he'd be,
Yeah, because Brian does no monthly.
Yeah,
it's 18 during
That's
the
what I,
year.
yeah. Okay.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept their bid of $200
I'll make
an
a
hour?
motion.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second, any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, the same, abstained, motion carries. Anything else, Kim?
Yeah, and like I said, it's basically just for like end of year, and not even for them to like do it for us. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, they're just there for guidance if, Brian runs into,
They are important though. If we had had this, Lyra Cronin had been available, then we would have had a nicer looking, end-of-year audit.
right, I mean, we sent stuff
Right.
to them and repeatedly.
Yeah, they do have value.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
That's good. KPMUC has 2 recommendations for appointment for new members, and so does the planning commission. So I'd like to do them one at a time instead as a package deal. I'd like to request permission to appoint Chad Matthews to BMUC, and that would be for how many years? 2?
Now you got me.
4?
It's a 4-year term.
It's 4-year.
Term, 4-year term.
If there are 3 open positions, I think they're all 4 years.
Okay, 4-year term. Do I have a motion to accept Chad?
Well, as the BMUC liaison, I do make the motion because they presented both of these to come before us, so I make a motion to accept Chad Matthews.
Yeah, I was there, so I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept Chad Matthews for a 4-year term on the BMUC. Any discussion?
Favorable votes?
Everybody unanimously.
So he's a police officer with Montgomery County.
They all know.
Um,
Yeah,
He
he used
wrote-
to be a public safety commissioner.
He wrote his thesis on water security for his master's degree. He has just as much every right to be on the committee as everybody else, so it was a unanimous vote to.
And they did ask him about his attendance, but it wasn't gonna be a problem, so.
He had just been recently promoted, when he was with public safety, he was promoted, and of course, the new guy promoted gets the craft shift, and that's
Yeah,
what
I
happened.
got it.
We have a motion. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstain, motion carries. I'd like to appoint Terry Davis to the BMUC commission for a 4-year term. Do I have a motion?
Again, this was brought before the BMUC, and they asked us to bring it to the mayor and council, so I'll make that motion, that they would like to appoint Terry Davis to the BMUC.
And I was there again, and I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Again, was it all favorable?
Yep.
It was a unanimous decision again. There was question about his attendance. My only feeling on the whole situation was if he was that adamant about being involved, why didn't he show up? I mean, I've got people like Eric Kitchen that has been, he doesn't miss anything. He wasn't even asked to this. I don't have a problem with him coming back. I'm just saying that, why didn't he be involved? Why did he stay involved? And we had a problem with the Water Advisory Board not showing up for meetings before he got removed.
We have a policy of 3 meetings?
Yep. So, I mean,
And
it'll
there's
play
3
itself out
meetings.
if he doesn't have perfect attendance or if he doesn't have valid reasons, but, so, that's all my 2 cents.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I mean, Terry added value. I mean, I know he might have some personality things with some members here, but he did add value when he was on the thing. And the guys like him. I mean, I know Pete and Greg like him and everything. And he's a former WSFC employee, so he knows the jobs and everything. So I think he'd, regardless of some of the personality opinions or whatever, I think he'd add value to the team.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Abstain? 5-1. Planning, thank you all. Planning Commission recommends appointments for new members. Will these be 4-year terms too, Kim? Okay.
Let me say a few words about that, Mr. Mayor. if I
Sure.
may.
Yes, sir.
We are full right now. We have no vacancies. However, Mr. Doug Moore is going to step down in May, just family responsibilities. Riley told me we're not going to have a meeting in April. Then Miss Anita Collier has missed her several meetings and has indicated her son's in baseball or something, so she's stepping down. So right now, I guess today, we don't have vacancies, but in our meeting.
Being
minutes-
proactive.
Yeah, next month we will. So that's why these two are being brought, and I was there for both of these interviews.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, first one I'd like to recommend to be appointed to the planning commission is Travis Renner. Reiner, sorry, Reiner.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
only
it's
got one M.
RHINER.
No, it's just, it only has one M, that's all.
Didn't think. it was
Are you looking for a motion, sir?
Yes, sir.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion to accept Travis Reiner. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion with a May appointment.
I'm saying it's for a future vacancy.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, actually, so there's information on this. So Doug Moore, he would, these both candidates were very impressive. Doug Moore says he will step down immediately if the council elects to vote these people on. Same with Anita.
Okay.
So this is for an immediate appointment.
Yeah, that's true. And then Riley told me no meeting in April.
So it's still gonna be for May.
Right, but we're not, you know what I'm saying.
It's a contingent appointment,
Immediate.
so good.
Okay. Any other discussion, questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same, abstained, motion carries. I'd like to appoint Carmella Smith.
And again, I was there, and Miss Carmel Smith is, she holds a real estate license. Very, very credible candidate, and I'll make the motion to bring her on.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to appoint Carmella Smith for 4 years, starting in May, since there's no meeting in April. Any discussion? Comments? Any? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those the same, abstained, motion carries. Anything else to be brought before the council before we go into commission reports? Hearing none. Park Board, Rick.
Okay, Park Board had a meeting March 22nd, 2023. First thing was on the agenda was a disc golf presentation. Guest Audrey Vargason and Jackson Dolly presented the idea of installing a disc golf course in Schaefer Park. They have provided information about the sport, the course development, equipment, and course materials, and funding for the course was presented. And I will say that the park board supports the idea of establishing a golf course with the understanding that they'd be included in the design and the placement of the course.
Are you saying disc?
Yes.
Disc.
It's frisbee golf.
Frisbee
Frisbee golf.
Oh,
yeah,
it's
pretty popular.
I'm quite good.
Silver's on, man.
Logan plays it.
Russell plays it in Hawaii, got me turned on to it, and there's a course in Hagerstown, this will be only the second course in the entire county.
I'll have to look it up.
My kids are telling me,
I never knew what Gaga Ball was or whatever.
Has anybody ever played it?
this is way better than Gaga.
Yeah.
I never played Gaga
It's
ball,
not-
but I guarantee you this golf.
It's,
Takes up a hell of a
it
lot.
takes a
Yeah,
hell of
it's
a
a
lot
lot.
of space up. That's why the park board wanted to be involved with it, because it included, it could include, actually knocking trees down, and that's not what they, yeah, so it's like, yeah, we're all for it, providing that we have a say so. So there's a few of them, as like Jeff, Isaac, I think, if you would like to look at this, this is what they presented.
Is it an 18 or 19?
It's an 18 course.
They can't do a
With,
9 hole?
with the option, they could do a 9 hole.
You can do 9, Howard.
Yeah. They
Well,
can,
if you want to pay 18.
no, they
Pay it
can,
twice, that's right.
if you turn it on the other side, you'll see that they have it all set out. And if you don't, if you all, now it's up to the council. If you want them to do a 18-hole course, that's fine. They can send it down to do a 9-hole course.
What's the group that's bringing this forward? I didn't hear what you said.
It's Audrey Vargason and Jackson Dollar.
So are they just,
They're
she's
avid-
Audrey's on the EDC commission.
Yes, they're avid.
they're just
District.
citizens,
District,
they're
yes,
not
that's a
like
good term.
Call ourselves a
nonprofit group or anything?
No, they're not. They live up on Main
Yes.
Street.
Gotcha.
They're, it's Natoma Vargason's
Yeah,
daughter,
yeah.
yeah.
That's the reason why they. Park
I just wasn't sure if they were with an organization.
That's just the way it is.
Well, you can get a drag strip in the park.
Get a lawnmower.
Yeah, there's already a lawnmower course there.
Okay, so,
So this is just an idea they brought before.
yeah, if you want, I can present it to they wanted me to present it to the council, mayor and council, and seek approval. So,
I need to know.
But they don't have,
It
they don't
sounds
have
like it takes
a,
a lot of room.
they don't have any idea where they would put it.
well, it doesn't take, it takes a lot of room, but, I mean, all you're throwing at is a little, it's like a basket.
Yeah,
It's not like Beaver Creek or anything like that.
that's not 450 yards
Yeah.
to throw it.
Yeah.
Or you
It's-
throw so many yards, you go pick it up. and
Now
throw
that,
another,
I do
try
have
get
to
in
say,
the
I
hole.
You
do
can
have
carry
to say at one time, I did have
Yeah.
somebody contact me, they wanted to
How
do
many
the
gets do you
entire
carry?
town.
So do these
This
discs
driver
drive
and
retrieval, do they bring themselves back once you throw them?
Yeah, you throw,
You gotta walk to get them. Like
Yeah,
you
they're
gotta-
drones.
like a golf ball, you gotta follow it.
I said, well, as long as it doesn't go in my community garden, they gotta go in there and get it.
It's gonna go right around it, because that was one of the first things,
Oh,
yes, it's not gonna go into the garden.
it won't be.
at
So-
points, if you
As a
get-
matter of fact, I think that's the starting point for one of their holes, for one of the,
So do they want the mayor and council's blessing to move forward through the
Yeah.
park?
Well, we would
that
have
or,
to
But I
present
mean-
it, put it on the agenda for the main
Yeah.
meeting and give us information, and like you said, like, we can't take up the other ball field places.
but that one actually it won't bother anybody, you see where the,
Got a lot of ground down.
yeah, it won't bother anybody, and
Okay.
they've already said that,
Put down,
If,
down, you do 18.
yeah, if there's, children's events going on, the football and all that, they won't do it. They just won't do it that day. So it's not like it's gonna, out of the way, it's my turn, it's not one of those things.
So do you want to invite them or
Yeah,
I
invite
would
'em to the
I
workshop.
can-
include.
To the
it on
workshop or to the
packet,
main
put
meeting?
it on the main meeting, you know.
May meeting?
What
Great.
do you do the workshop?
Workshop.
Come to the workshop.
I thought the workshop was gonna be full with budget, no?
Bring them to the workshop.
And they aren't gonna take trees down.
No,
Okay.
that's why the park board
Yeah.
insisted on being an active member.
Got a question for you, Rick. I've had numerous people approach me. There where they shoot off the fireworks. Are you all got anything planned for that property, that section?
I know what you're gonna say, and it's about putting a dog park in. That was one of our things for that money that's set aside for the American Rescue. Now, I don't know if we can get anything for that or not, I don't know how it
Because I was
is.
talking great about it, how hard it would be. He could put a wooden fence up with no problem, and then put the
snow fencing
snow
or
fence
something?
inside of it, so dog can't crawl underneath it and get out and everything.
Snow
He said it'd be
fencing.
very, very, very expensive. The only thing is, there's 2 times out of the year they couldn't use it.
That's fireworks.
That's Carnival fireworks or July 3rd.
Yeah, I can bring it up.
Yeah, would you put?
Sure.
When is this proposed?
Oh, we've been talking about it for years. I mean,
Yeah.
That would be an
That was
ideal
one of our
place, right?
presentations for the American Rescue money. That was like the second thing. I said,
That's good, Bill Townsend.
Okay, unfinished business, the restroom update, sandy pot was placed down at the parking lot. Everybody that used it appreciated it. Tree board, tree board update, Tree City application has been approved and the GIS software is pending. Arbor Day, Earth Day, stream cleanup, that's April 23rd, and they're gonna dedicate last year's tree to Mr. Bruce Schmidt. The fishing derby is May 6th. Each child participating will choose a $5 gift certificate. I think one's from McDonald's or Nutters and Subway. Volunteers will be available to clean fish, register the kids, and grill hot dogs, and etc. Boonsboro Green Fest recycle event will be May 13th. There will be opportunities to recycle a large variety of items, swap clothing, sports equipment, plants, books, household items, and a tree giveaway. The wagon train will be May 21st. D&D ponies are confirmed, and they're talking to the Post 10 Auxiliary about selling hot dogs, chips, and drinks like they did, I think, the previous year. Independence Day celebration, July 5th, and the rain date is July 7th. Local vendors, as usual, more information later. Concerts are being scheduled. July 8th is U.S. Navy Country Current. July 29th is U.S. Army Country Roads. And the movies for this year is June 17th, Minions Rise of Gru. July 15th, Tom and Jerry. August 19th, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish. And September 16th.
That was a real hard pick.
That's the only way you can say that. Thor, September 16th, Thor, Love and Thunder. And new business, the Boy Scout troops are holding the Dutch Oven Games on April 14th through 16th. Howard was the judge last year, I believe.
No, they
2
didn't
years
have it
ago.
last year, got
2
canceled.
years ago.
Got canceled.
Yep, and
I'm back.
yeah, I thought you would be. Park path phase for landscaping plan. Park board discussed the landscaping for the path and came up with a list of trees and scrubs, should be shrubs. But the location of the plants will be determined when the trail is completed. The placement of the plants will depend on the topography of the area. There was a motion to submit a preliminary plan utilizing the proposed plans as discussed in the meeting with Paul. Fiscal year 2024 budget, each line item of the budget was discussed and approved the budget. Community garden, Boonsboro Environmental Commission is making plant selections to use as a buffer between the private property and the fence between the garden and alley. And I think I took your thunder, Terry.
It's okay.
The next meeting will be April 26th, and that would be the park walkthrough, and it'll be at 6:30.
That is the most extensive park board report I've heard.
We was here till 9 o'clock. I mean, come on.
Wow. Anybody have any questions?
No, they were good. It was a good meeting all the way around.
Sound like it was, yeah. Okay, BMUC, Tony.
Sure. BMUC last met on March the 22nd. The commission interviewed 2 applicants, Chad and Terry, which we've already spoken about. They were both brought to the commission later in the meeting to be recommended to the mayor and council. Under old business, the wastewater treatment plant sludge press. We did hire HRI as the project prime contractor. Kickoff meeting was scheduled for that Thursday at 10 a.m. The wheel loader is to be delivered by the end of the month, and the stockpile permit is still in the works. Advanced metering infrastructure, there was no update for that meeting. Schaefer Park well replacement, installation is to begin in late April or early May. A pre-construction meeting is being held on April the 24th. The commercial building audit, BMUC recommendations were approved by the mayor and council with the corrected implementation date of July 1st, 2023. Letters will be sent out this week. The audit identified 203 unbilled EDUs. This will increase the annual revenue by approximately $30,000. Under new business, the BMUC commission members were updated that they had 3 remaining openings. A motion and approval to make Colin Schanenberger the assistant chair. Congratulations, Colin. Crestview Water Treatment Plant demo. The well was capped back in December of 2022. The plant was de-energized and Public Works made it disappear. That project is complete.
Very good job.
Yes. Reservoir replacement, waiting for 60% plans and surveillance has been added to the work scope. The town did receive an additional $500,000 from ARC funding that may be moved over to fund or help fund the dewatering project. The Crestview pressure reduction, we did review the WRA preliminary report. Their report is to install a new parallel water main and pressure reducing valves. The cost is around $1.1 million, and of course, there have been and there will be grants submitted for funding. FY24 utility rate update. Eric and Colin laid out a 7-year plan to reach full cost recovery as previously presented to the mayor and council this evening. More review there to be coming. Fiscal year 24 community development funding applications. Town manager reviewed with all the water and sewer project funding on a spreadsheet of all currently submitted applications. The White House lead line replacement accelerators and Get the Lead Out partnership. Boonesboro is one of the first municipalities in Maryland to join the program.
Yeah, the first.
The first. Well, it said one of the first in the minutes, but it's okay. We are the first municipality in Maryland to join the program. The town has lead components dating back to 1950 that needs to be removed. Update on the Boonesboro-Keedysville Water Advisory. The advisory board will be meeting again on April the 20th with continuing work on the new agreement. I won't be available for that meeting. I've already asked Eric to sit in my place. Under systems report, Pete Shoemaker states that all the systems were running smoothly for the most part. On the water side, Boonesboro was good, but in Keedysville, they have a pump starting to fail. He has sent the propellers out for machining, and he said that they'll be finishing up the last of the diffusers now that the weather and other projects have quieted down, and they only have about 5 to replace. On the water side, most recent meter reading was complete. Did have a sewer backup at the police department. We're contacting Roto-Rooter for a price to get that corrected. And under town manager's report, ARC application was due last week, and the vacuum trailer for public works should be delivered soon. We adjourned our meeting at 7:45, and we meet again on April the 19th at 6 p.m.
Anybody have any questions of Tim? Hearing none, thank you.
Sure.
Planning Commission, Eric?
Yes. To make a note there, what Tony said, April 19, I'm not sure I had that on the calendar.
What's that, buddy?
For the next meeting.
Oh, yeah, it's on the calendar, the town calendar, yeah. 19.
So, the planning commission, we did meet on March 28th, and since Rowley usually gives a staff report, I talked to her one day and I said, I'll kind of cover the stuff that's on the agenda, and she can give any other updates. And she said, well, that's a good idea. And I said,
now she's not here.
And now she's not here. And I asked her last week, was there anything else she wanted me to discuss? And she said she was gonna try to get an update on the post office to discuss tonight, and she'd let me know, but I didn't hear anything from her. So the only thing I'll talk about is what was on the agenda. And one more comment, actually. We already talked about the 2 new people coming on, the planning and zoning. The other thing that was on the agenda was good old 50 St. Paul. And maybe for those of you who aren't as familiar, 50 St. Paul is if you go out the parking lot, go straight up alley, it's that house that sits up there at the end of the alley. And they're talking about putting 4 additional houses up in the wooded area behind that house over to Lake and Avenue Extension. That's what the discussion has been. And the residents, there's been 8 or 10 of them here the last 2 meetings, and they've been quite vocal about their opposition, and I understand. I think that piece of property, just my personal 2 cents, does have some extenuating circumstances, which one of them is the Old County Road, which we've talked about. One of them is the stormwater runoff, which we've talked about. And I don't think there's anybody that knows anything about that better than me and Mary Lee, because my mother and I lived there for 60 years. And they did just put that grate up there at the end of the county road to now go under St. Paul Street. That was in 2019. I actually have pictures on the phone. And then I think the third, there's probably other things, but the third circumstance is water and sewer running up to that property. So the neighbors have been quite vocal about it, but Dave Parmley did do a good job in the meeting of explaining, well, this is the process of how these things get approved, and frankly, I was not aware of the process either. So the only thing that has been approved is the subdividing of the land, which obviously that's the first step to building houses and so on. But anyway, so that was some of that discussion. The third thing that's not on the agenda, I plan on bringing this up however the heck you're supposed to bring it up. Riley asked Dave after the meeting that night to sign off on the Ace Hardware plan, which was laid out over there on a big piece of paper. So I walked over and looked at it, and I just thought it was odd that Riley or no elected official had to sign off on it. It was the chairman of the planning commission who signed off on it. And I suggested to Riley, well, I think you should sign off on this thing because you're a town employee. And she said, well, that's a good idea. I can add a line on future ones to do that. So I don't know if I need approval to do that, but I just thought a town employee
She should be signed.
or somebody elected, somebody should be signing that as opposed to not just the planning. So can I just tell her to add a line?
Tell her no and
sign off. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, because we actually had one, a year ago, someone brought in here and we couldn't read the signature. So I suggested add a print and a sign line on the thing. We think maybe it was Carl Wright who signed it. We don't know.
Probably was Carl, because Carl scribbled. Remember, Kim?
Oh, yeah,
We
you
just-
couldn't
we
read
just
it.
Couldn't make it out. So anyway, that was just a little sidebar. And Brian attended tonight, not to give Riley's report. He attended because I asked him, since he was part of our team. So that's all I had.
Well, thank you, sir. Anybody have any questions of Eric? Hearing none, public safety. Mary Lee?
I think I gave a lot of recap at the workshop for public safety, so I have seen an email that the fire department letter has been received, is that correct, for the Opticom
Yes.
traffic signals, so we're good there?
It was, I don't know if they found it or just
Confusion
rewrote it
about
or.
where it went into that. So, and then the other thing is that, but I know we have a meeting conflict, but the safety commission meets Thursday, April 20th at 7 PM. And they've invited the mayor and council and if they'd like to attend for a Stop the Bleed demonstration, with the new kits that were purchased by Jay, AKA Jeff, AKA Jay, Max. Confusion
Jay
on what
Max.
his name is.
It's Jay.
His given name is Jeff, but he goes
It
by
is Jeff,
so
yep.
Yeah. So anybody who'd like to attend, they're gonna do that first and then we'll do the rest of it.
So Mary Lee, on that particular night, Tony's not available.
Yeah, I know,
Paul and
Eric's
myself
not.
will be up
I know, we
there.
talked about moving it, but then it didn't,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, jive, that I was told you guys were meeting upstairs, cause I asked him if we had a meeting conflict, so. But they'll offer it again because they're gonna do it at National Night Out. They might be doing it at the July 4th thing. I mean,
Okay.
they're gonna be doing this demonstration with this kid multiple times. That was just gonna be his first. And so we wanted to invite him, so that's it.
Anybody have any questions of Mary Lee? Thank you, ma'am. EDC, Ray?
Haven't met since our last meeting. Our next meeting is gonna be on, Wednesday, the 26th at 8 o'clock. This Thursday, 10 o'clock, Josie's on the Main is celebrating their 10-year anniversary. We'll be having a ribbon cutting for them. Let's see, and obviously we had the JFK, very successful. Most of you all were there. Very well attended, very successful.
Very nice crowd, yeah. Surprised.
Nice weather too.
That's it. Thank you, sir. Anybody have any questions of Ray? Thank you, sir. Environmental Commission, Terry?
There is a tool shed that they're looking at. The price is anywhere from $5,000 to $6,000. They're gonna take a final vote. The community garden planning team is gonna be voting on that. Let's see, they need volunteers to help with the BEC educational activity / program about Leave No Trace, Sustainable Maryland Certified, pet waste education, Apple Valley Waste has been confirmed for one of our meetings, and they're gonna have someone come speak, and hopefully they're going to get a tour of the recycling facility. There is going to be a musician. Well, the one over in Martinsburg, we did take a tour of, and that was really interesting.
That's Sorga, but
That closed up, but that was very interesting.
Burned to the ground.
Yeah.
After closed, right?
Yeah, after closed. Suspiciously.
No, everything composted.
Yeah, it's so heat. And then
How the hell do they
I'm
not
not
get it
down
out?
Williamsport.
and the fire department couldn't put it out, but it just anyway.
A musician with instruments that are gonna be powered by solar power will be performing at the Green Fest. Key City Compost has provided initial information for proposed compost pickup at the yard debris site. Middletown has something similar for its residents, and the Solid Waste Reduction Committee is gonna investigate and take pictures of Middletown's setup. And the committee is still in need of grants available to fund a glass crushing machine that transforms non-recyclable glass bottles into sand.
For
what?
the sand.
You can use sand for anything.
Okay.
For those sandbags.
I was teeing you up, Terry, you didn't get it.
For those missing
Sandbags.
sand.
Oh, I got it now.
Yeah, there you go.
That's it. We meet tomorrow night.
We need the glass.
What day is Greenfest? Sorry.
13th, I want to say.
No, it's in my newsletter. I just forget. I was thinking about putting that calendar
Yes, it's the
down.
13th, and then our townwide cleanup is the 20th.
I throw on my glass.
Sixth of May.
It's crazy.
The
Fish.
Lions
Everybody else put it in
Club's
recycling,
having
even though you
a,
Everybody does it.
Shred.
shredding. Down.
You're not up early enough to hear the recycling truck anyway. You hear that guy throwing the recycling, it's just glass.
They don't,
People don't give a crap.
put the can back and say, no recycle for you?
Yeah,
No.
no recycle for you.
They don't care.
They dump everything.
Whatever's in there, they chuck it in there, because it's gonna go to the sorting facility anyway. Somebody sits
Every
there.
time I throw an auto part in there, they put it on my daggone sidewalk.
Well,
Transmission.
that's the first I've heard that, because I've heard they put cans back and said you need to sort it out. 'Cause it's awful.
Anybody have any questions of Terry?
Farmer's market, when does that begin?
May 2nd.
Yeah, first Tuesday in May.
I think Sharpsburg started already. They have one now. I think they started already.
Well, I mean, depending on the weather, they probably could have started early.
Thank you, Terry. Raleigh's not here. Paul, town manager's report.
Yeah, so tonight is Sine Die. It's the end of legislative session tonight at midnight. We just heard from our lobbyist, Roger, that the town has been awarded $1.5 million in capital loan bonds. So we're going to get $1.5 million in grants. 500,000 of that is going to Chase 6 because Secretary Brinkley, if you recall, got us a $200,000 grant. There was a handoff issue, I'm assuming, between the former administration and the new administration. That money got lost. So Roger worked on getting us a replacement grant, so we got 500,000 instead. So now that the cost, the grant money for that project is up to 1.2 million. So it's we probably ended up on the right side anyway, just with increasing costs and the way this project is kind of dragging on. So the 1 million is completely fungible. It can be used for any water and wastewater project. I would imagine probably apply to the sludge dewatering project. And if you did, that project would be 100% grant funded. So that's two 100% grant funded projects, the reservoir and the dewatering presses. So anyway, a little bit of good news there. I mentioned the transition plan. I'm just kind of working on an exhaustive list of different projects and various, annual programs and responsibilities and adding, contact people. So much of the town manager's job is networking and knowing who to talk to. So I'm just kind of doing an exhaustive list and putting everything in one place for my successor. And then I included, it just came today, so I wasn't able to add it to the agenda, but we did receive another grant through the Maryland Energy Administration to add solar panels to the water treatment plants, the roofs of the water treatment plants. So we got a $57,000 grant to add panels to all the rooftops. It's estimated that the panels will produce about 15% of the electricity both the Keedysville water treatment plant and the Boonesboro water treatment plant require. So considerable savings, like thousands of dollars. But to install those, and I guess I wanted to bring it and have some discussion on this. In order to install them, the roofs for both of those facilities are original to the buildings in 1999. So they're very near their end of life right now and need to be replaced. In anticipation of this, Pete reached out to Antigua Roofing and got some replacement estimates, which I included both the Keedysville water treatment plant and the Boonesboro water treatment plant are mirror images of each other. Each one is going to take about $7,300 to reshingle. And then also the Public Works shop needs a new flat roof. So figure on another $12,000 on top of that. So I wrote a quick bid because, whoever the successor is, they're going to have a lot to be working on, a lot to catch up on. It would be nice to have this project moving forward when he or she comes in. So if you wanted to, you could approve this bid tonight and get this project moving forward. So, and then just to finish things off, like Eric mentioned, and I'm so impressed that the stream restoration project in the park looks fantastic. It looks really very nice. It looks amazing.
So you guys did a great job.
Yeah, very, very happy with that project.
So you just want approval to put the bid proposal out.
I think it'd be a good idea, yeah, to get this project moving forward.
Less of a burden on the game.
Yeah.
We have a motion to put the bid package out for the trees.
Sure, I'll make the motion. Those buildings aren't that darn big, shit, it must be expensive.
Yeah, I thought 73 was pretty low.
Yeah, I was gonna say that doesn't sound
Yeah.
high to me.
Oh, really?
No.
I thought it was a lot.
Do we have a motion to put the bid package out for bids? Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Okay, so all three roofs would then be getting solar panels?
No, just two.
Just the plants.
The
Just
third
two.
one was actually being put into the budget for this coming fiscal year anyway, but we need pricing anyway,
No
so.
solar panels on the town.
And we're required to do the roof on Keedysville's water plant?
Yes. At a shared cost. And Keysville knows about this project and they've agreed.
So this has no part of the true up, this is outside of that whole true up deal.
So, the water treatment plant is a shared source water asset, and we split the cost.
Did anybody second it?
Yeah,
Terry did. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
And you don't want metal roofs, you don't want
If you read the bid, I left an option in there to also provide a quote from them. Yes.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Anything else, Paul? Okay. Anybody else have anything to come before the council tonight?
Oh, what was your actual last day?
The 28th.
We need to go into executive session as provided under general provisions, Article 3-305B1, Section I, to discuss the appointment, employment, assessment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance related reevaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom it has jurisdiction. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Abstained, motion carries.
Thanks, Colin, good night.
Thank you, Colin.
Tonight.